For more on this, let's turn to John Sitilides, geopolitical strategist at Trilogy Advisors. John, nice to have you with us tonight. How do we know that Kim Jong-un is just not choking the chain of the United States again?
We don't, and that's the dilemma that we face here. You know, many commentators will talk about cautious optimism. I prefer to be hopefully skeptical, Ed. And this could be the outcome of, despite Mr. Richardson's comments, President Trump's policy of both a clenched fist and an open palm at the same time. Very different than anything we've seen from any other president, but there's really no way of knowing what's driving Kim Jong-un at this point. But it is very heartening, I will say, on two fronts. One is that it's the first meeting between the leader of North Korea and a member of the South Korean government since 2011, when Kim Jong-un came to power. And the fact that he actually put denuclearization on the table for the first time. So there were two hopeful signs there, but what's to come is going to be a very long, tortured process and very unclear in terms of the outcome.
So the lead tonight is the United States, despite these positive developments, are still moving forward with even more sanctions. What are they?
Well, first of all, it's a policy of maximum pressure, and I think that pressure will be maintained for the course of this quote-unquote feeling each other out process over the next several weeks, next several months. It's very important for the Trump administration to make sure there is zero daylight between the United States and South Korea, just in case that's one of the aims of the North Korean regime, to try to split South Korea from the United States, sell hopefulness and optimism in that government and in that society. That would be very deleterious to our policy towards North Korea.
Is it a bridge too far to think that Kim Jong-un feels like he's in a position of strength right now? I mean, I look at it, why would you come to the negotiating table unless you had something to back your position up? Maybe their nuclear program is far more advanced than the world thinks or knows. What about that?
It could very well be, Ed. Remember that in 2016, the intelligence agencies of the United States government thought that it might take 4 to 5 years for Kim Jong-un to achieve what he's achieved in about 14 months. So we don't know how far advanced he is. So I think also the fact that he said publicly several months ago that they now have achieved nuclear power status, and they feel that they're coming to the table as more of a, maybe not an equal, but some country that deserves the respect of the U.S. in the way that it hadn't before. So that may certainly be playing into Kim Jong-un's strategy right now.
We don't have an ambassador to South Korea. How's this going to unfold?
We don't have an ambassador to South Korea. We don't have an envoy for North Korea, and we are still waiting for the confirmation of the Assistant Secretary of State for East Asian Affairs. Heather Nauert believes that we have a number of people that are capable to help the Trump administration carry through a North Korea policy. This will take some time, so we don't need somebody in the position tomorrow or next week, but those positions have to get filled pretty quickly if this is going to be a serious negotiation.
Is a signal in all of this that the nuclear tests will not be taking place by the North Koreans? That, I mean, they have been very aggressive in the last year with their testing, but all of a sudden that seemed to have been subdued somewhat.
They may not need to right now. Remember, they've come very, very far, far faster and far more effectively than most intelligence agencies had predicted. And again, this may just be a ruse, Ed. We don't know what's going to be happening in 3 months or in 6 months. If they're not happy with what they're getting back in terms of negotiating concessions, they may resume their testing at will.
Is Kim looking over his shoulder? The United States is famous for covert operations to remove people. What about that?
I don't know that I'd be worried about the United States so much. It's the Chinese government that has placed 300,000 troops in the last 6 months along the North Korean border and set up refugee camps to accommodate about 500,000 refugees in the event of either a military operation, perhaps between North Korea and the United States, or what if a coup were to be engineered within the regime itself, and all of a sudden you have millions of refugees cascading into China?
That in itself has gotten very little, if any, attention by the mainstream media, that China has moved that kind of military hardware on the border and set up possible refugee camps. I mean, if that may be the biggest message that Kim Jong-un has ever gotten.
We don't know that there isn't daylight that has grown between the Chinese government and the regime of Kim Jong-un. He's publicly expressed dissatisfaction with the Chinese government over the last 6 months in a way he never did in the prior 6 years.
John Sitilides, always a pleasure. Good to have you with us tonight, John. Thank you.